Right Reverend Paul Jones embraced his service to the Lord from his first days as a priest. An early Time magazine wrote about Bishop Jones and how he got to Utah. Bishop Franklin Spaulding spoke to students at the Episcopal Divinity School in Cambridge, pleading for help in a difficult Utah. Whom shall we send, and who will go? Paul Jones echoed Isaiah, "Here I am, send me." Like Spaulding, the new priest was a socialist and a peaceful man dedicated to serve humanity. He started that service at St. John's with an instant love for the nearby university. He turned his rectory at the old St. John's into a student hangout. They had a reading room, a music room, and the first library in the Cache Valley. Students flocked to discuss issues and to socialize. He decorated the room with a Yale banner, part of his Eastern heritage. The Reverend Paul Jones and his co-director, the Reverend Donald Johnson, turned St. John's into a rousing success. It grew to the point of needing a substantial church and a place for the new cow that somehow the enthusiastic vicar found. The likable Jones addressed the students at what is now Utah State, and the school asked the fair-minded Paul Jones to referee college football games. Official newspaper stats indeed show the field judge for the big games as the Reverend Paul Jones. That's when he wasn't the head linesman. The vicar of St. John's would turn the new church and St. John's House into a community magnet. He truly understood community needs such as running water and let dirty farmers and students clean their bodies and wash away their sins with both fresh bathwater and a spectacular church. The annual report said they served over 9,000 people who checked out 534 books and took 573 baths. He simply embraced the community.
He took that seriously, and then when he arrived in Utah and in Logan, he threw himself into the local community because Christ is present everywhere. And Paul Jones, as a representative and disciple and follower of Jesus, believed that as such, he needed to be involved in the very lives of the people there.
But life would quickly change. The diocese would be shocked to learn that on September 25, 1914, 49-year-old Bishop Spaulding was struck by an automobile on Salt Lake South Temple Street. He was killed instantly. Paul Jones was the natural choice to continue Bishop Spaulding's work. He became the fourth bishop of the Missionary District of Utah. He continued to seek workers, such as coal miners in Carbon County. Under Bishop Jones, there would be church services in Carbon and Emery counties, including Castlegate, and the place where coal mining and trains came together, Helper. The peaceful man also spoke out against the impending war that we now know as World War I. The Security League said he went too far when he challenged those who he felt equated patriotism with a large military. It was too much for a country looking to go to war. It was too much for a church.
Paul Jones believed, and believed strongly enough in this, that he was willing to take the criticism and eventually be deposed as the bishop of this diocese. But he proclaimed peace, and he attached himself first and foremost to the Prince of Peace and not to country.
He saw that the end was near, and facing a certain ouster, the Right Reverend Paul Jones resigned, but he held true his pledge to help the Lord's work.
And so Paul Jones, in many ways, saw himself as not just a citizen of the United States, but a citizen of the world and a citizen of the heavenly kingdom.
He continued his path to serve the Lord. He wrote about mission and equal rights for African Americans and remained a faithful servant. Salt Lake ministers of all faiths offered support for his witness. He got his seat back in the House of Bishops in 1933, a seat he held until he died in 1941 while helping Jewish people who were displaced by the Nazis. And in 1994, the church that once removed him as bishop honored him with a feast day we now know as Paul Jones Day, a feast day for a champion of the Lord's work as the Prince of Peace. His old church stands as a legacy, but he is remembered far wider than in Logan and in the diocese. The brave stand of a peaceful man led the same church that forced him to resign to later honor him. He is the only Utahn and one of the few people in the world to now have his own feast day in the church.
It says a very important thing, and that is that we can learn, that we can change, that we can come to a deeper place when thinking about a person. And that to me is a very important aspect, that we can repent of past mistakes and move forward and then celebrate now what could not be celebrated then or was not celebrated then.
We can learn much from the peaceful man. He did not go into a bitter retreat after losing his Utah jurisdiction. He did not forget what he told Bishop Spalding, "Here I am, Lord,